Will ever be as successful as that ever again in tennis.
If they're going to leave a coach, they've got to have half an idea of where they're going next.
Had the most successful run. Why do you think it's stopped now?
I don't think we can have that chat about. Goran's done exactly what he was brought in for. Obviously, he was brought in back 2018 to. Well, he was going through that bad spell 2017. Yeah. Didn't win a slam in 2017. And then,
wow, that's not.
that's enough on its own.
Yeah.
And then 2018 obviously came in, had the elbow issues.
Yes.
Goran was brought in initially for the serve.
That's right. Yeah.
But has just stayed since. And I mean, their record since has been ridiculous. So is it 122 wins, 8 losses in slams while together?
Yeah. I don't think it's hard to comprehend those level statistics. Like, they are off the chart statistics for like a 5-year time period, 6-year time period.
I genuinely, I don't think anyone will ever be as successful as that ever again in tennis over that long a period.
You could be right.
In that span of time.
So, maybe this might be one for another pod, but is this the most successful coaching partnership of all time, potentially?
Has to be.
It's got to be.
Djokovic is the most successful player of all time, and this is the best spell of his career.
I know, and that's the thing. He's now 36 years old, and in the last 5 years, he's won half of his Grand Slams. So half of his Grand Slam titles have come between the age of 31 and 36, which is ridiculous.
So that goes.
And he's showing no signs of slowing. Last year was arguably his best ever year in terms of slams.
Yeah.
He's won 3 of the 4 slams and lost a 5-setter in the other to an Alcaraz playing outrageous tennis, and Djokovic still should have won that match. And that would have been all 4 slams.
It's just.
So that goes to why then. So why do you think now is the time for them to stop working together if you've just had the most successful run in tennis? Why do you think it's stopped now?
I don't know.
I do think if you look, obviously they've had that success, but if you look at the recent stuff that's happened, obviously he loses to Sinner at the Aussie.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, Sinner's been phenomenal this year, but the manner in which he lost to Sinner was a bit un-Djokovic-like. In terms of he didn't even put up a fight for 2 sets.
And you'd have expected a more kind of classic Djokovic snapping and real... Yeah. Also having that... Djokovic is one of those people that you can never write off. When he looks in the depths of despair, he looks like he's beaten and gone. You still can't write him off, because I have seen tens of, if not hundreds of matches where he has pulled back and come just from the jaws of defeat. And I just...
So you look at that Aussie Open match, and then you look at him losing in Indian Wells to a lucky loser, which is his worst loss since 2009 rankings-wise. So if you look at just this year, you can think something's not quite right in that camp. But as an overall partnership, him and Goran's been...
it's been immense.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, I think...
But you can... I think... Although it's a little bit of a shock that he split with Goran, the timing's not.
Yeah, if you were going to pick a time in which someone would break up with a coach, it would be around when they have a loss as bad as this. But it's as a player, you can't go right, okay, it must have been a coaching issue.
Yeah, I think timing is one of the things for me where it's a little bit difficult here, because the timing that we're at now is that, okay, Djokovic pulled out of Miami. But then we're now going into pretty much...
He's already in training on clay, isn't he? He's posted videos.
And I guess that is probably a good... That's a good thing that he's been able to do by missing Miami. But as soon as Monte Carlo starts, you have just got that clay court swing, which is absolutely chock-a-block right to Roland Garros. And we know how infamously short that period of time is between the end of Roland Garros, which we fully expect Djokovic to be at the back end of that, to then the grass court season and come up to Wimbledon, and they only really get respite after Wimbledon. But that's post-July, that's in July. So we've now got, a good 4 months period of just solid tournaments for Djokovic on 2 very different demanding surfaces. But for me, the question is, timing-wise, who is going to come in and how much time are they going to have to actually implement what they're looking for? With Djokovic, what do you actually implement?
Yeah,
because he's already got a team as well. Yeah. He's got the videos that he's posted training. He's got a team of guys there that'll be watching everything, and I'm sure they'll be videoing and statting the life out of it.
Yeah.
But it's who's going to be the voice that he respects and listens to? Yeah. That's obviously gone now in Goran.
And he does like that. If you look at his successful periods, his 2 most have been under Goran, and he had that ridiculous season when Becker was around as well. I think he likes having that person that he can respect.
100%.
Yeah. But that's been there and done it. Obviously, Vider's been there.
He's been there
on and off.
Yeah, but he's been more on than off. Yeah, he's been there pretty much since the start. I mean, obviously, not there anymore, but I just think it's anybody playing has to have some form of stability with people that they respect and get on with in a day to day. And clearly, that from what Djokovic was saying in terms of the friendship, Goran and him really had a good friendship and a good bond. And I think at that level, like, what are you going to teach Novak Djokovic that he doesn't already know? Like, he's arguably the greatest.
And whose voice can he respect now? Like, whose voice can he even respect at this point? Because he's like, when Goran picked him up, he wasn't Novak now.
No.
Like, Novak now is a different person to Novak of 2017, 2018. So it's like, who does he respect now at this point in his life?
Yeah, and it comes to a point where if you're at such a level, you're never going to be able to find somebody who knows more than you because you're arguably the greatest tennis player of all time. So, but you've got to bring somebody in because it would look strange if there was nobody in his corner. He's got to have somebody that's going to take up Goran's role. But is the timing right? I think one of those things is like when you do split from a coach, or there are splits on the tour with coaches and things. Often it comes to a head, and people know the time within the camp. The time will feel right, even though statistically and from outside, everybody might turn around and go, "Hang on a second, why is this happening?" But the dynamics inside is something that we'll never really kind of be able to know and understand. But from the outside, it does look a little bit strange.
It looks strange from our point of view, but for them, it might just be like you're saying, like naturally, it's just run its course of like we've got to that point. We've spent so much time together. It's like what else?
Yeah, you don't know what they're doing. Yeah. Goran might have it can be anything, can it? It's not necessarily anything.
Yeah, and you imagine
actually coaching player-wise, it's just life.
You imagine
you just don't
travelling with Djokovic all year round is probably quite taxing. Like as much as it's a joke of a life, like you're just going around sitting in players' boxes watching the best player of all time play.
Yeah,
it's like he's probably got a bit of family life, or
absolutely
wants more of a. I don't know. He can't speak on what he wants to get out of his life, but it's a busy schedule. Like following him around all year.
Because Goran will be done a load of travelling just by himself for his own tennis career.
Yeah,
and
to go into that.
He's probably got time he wants to spend with family as well, and there's
you
so
can
many.
Imagine. You imagine this has come from Djokovic's side, though.
You'd think so, wouldn't you? But the thing is, it seems to be handled very amicably. So I don't actually know if it was maybe more mutual. Djokovic will, of course, he will have instigated. Because I don't think Goran would walk away. Why would Goran walk away? He's coaching the best player, arguably the best player of all time. There's probably not a better job in tennis, is there?
No.
I mean, Djokovic puts people through the mill in terms of being in the box, but Goran, I'm sure he's had some incredible results and with Djokovic. Yeah. And I don't think Djokovic must be feeling a bit thinking, where am I going to go from here? Because even somebody who's given him so much success.
Is he just looking now and just thinking, actually, for the first time in a decade, is he actually looking and going, I'm not actually the best player in the world? Is he looking at Alcaraz and Sinner and thinking, actually, they might be better than me now, I actually need to add something else or do something else?
So you're saying it's coming from like a I'm worried standpoint of like, there's lads not nipping at my heels at this point, like I need to take it to another stage, or do you think his level's just his level and it's like he's going to fight?
Because he's had those two slam matches against Alcaraz at Wimbledon and Sinner, where he said after the Wimbledon final that Alcaraz is more complete and a better player than Nadal or Federer that he played against.
Do you agree with that? Do you agree with that?
It's tough to say. I'm not sure. I'm not sure I could say that.
I can see where he's got it from.
But that's him. But if that's how he feels, and he's genuinely saying that, and I think he probably does genuinely feel that. Like he's not just going to mug off like Rafa and Roger that easy. So is he looking at that and Sinner and thinking, actually, I need to do something new here?
Maybe. Or do you think that for once he's kind of thinking, right, how many more years have I got of this? I'm 36. And is it potentially his mind going, how long for?
Yeah, but that wouldn't explain him leaving Goran.
No, I agree.
If that was the case, if he's thinking, how long have I got left? Maybe this is like my swan song. Like, I think he just stays with Goran to the end and just kind of has that if they're good friends and everything. So I think he's only doing this to try and. He must be adding somebody else. He must have someone. Yes. I know he said he doesn't, but I think he must have something in his mind of what he wants to do or add.
I think all players will have some idea of if they're going to leave a coach, they've got to have half an idea of where they're going next and who they might think of bringing in. I'm not saying
or at least what
you're looking for.
What differences he wants. Even if you don't know the
person
coach or the person,
you know what you're looking for.
You at least look and go, right, the reason he brought Goran in was for his serve. If he's looking at something and going, right, this is wrong here, I need to get better at this. Like, they're just out hitting me, I need to go bigger, more aggressive, whatever it is, and he needs to just look at. He knows what he needs to do, but he doesn't necessarily know.
Yeah. I think the reason Goran came in to start with was very clear and defined. It was like, I have an issue with my elbow. We saw him wear the sleeve for a long time, and he was trying to abbreviate his serve action, which I think he's done. I
remember really watching his serve at Eastbourne that year, and it was so bizarre.
Yeah, it was
he has completely changed it. Yeah, and his serve now, he's genuinely does not get the credit it deserves. 100%. Like, he hits his spots unbelievably on serves. It's so accurate.
It's true.
It's so accurate.
But I think that's right, is that not many people speak about how good Djokovic's serve is.
Yeah.
Like,
it's phenomenal.
Everybody just says, he's an unbelievable mover, which of course he is. His backhand is arguably the best backhand of all time. But then actually, you've got to have it. There's nobody that wins any form of slam without a good serve, and his is like off the charts. He's 124. And as it just doesn't come in that bracket of a greatest server. But
I don't think many of when you speak about like big fours and big threes, whatever, like no one really speaks about any of the serve
because he's so good in every other department. You kind of take that.
You take it for granted.
Yeah. But it's not just taking it for granted how good it is. Like we said, in terms of Goran doing his coaching job, his serve has improved drastically as well. Like, it was actually a weakness. He genuinely wasn't actually, like, obviously he's got to be to a level, but his serve was a weakness. Yeah. If a weakness for him is not a weakness for 99.9% of the tour, but compared to his return, backhand, forehand movement, like, where he was weak was probably at net and on serve.
Because he also
and his volley game has improved massively, and his serving has improved massively.
Yeah. But above all as well, Goran's allowed him to keep playing, because there was a few events where Djokovic was pulling out because of elbow, and he was missing events when they first started, when they first had their collaboration, because Djokovic was just in pain. And I remember, there was issues with, having surgery and things like that. So now, obviously, I think it's sometimes a little bit in the background, but he's managing it really well, and they've managed to create a serve which is better than it was and allows him to be pain-free and compete, which, from a tennis point of view, is all you can ask for, really.
Yeah, it's a dream as a player to get that from a coach that you brought in specifically for that, to get it, like, not instantly, obviously, it took time, but you got exactly what you asked for.
But and that's credit to Djokovic, because he's like, this is what I need to improve these areas of my game, I need to make sure that my elbow's right and I stay injury-free, and then all of a sudden he's been able to pinpoint somebody that he knows, probably someone that he's had prior experience with and gets on with, and he's saying he knows that he's going to be able to do that for him. Who's the next person that he's going to...
Who's your money? Who's next? Who's in his box at Roland Garros?
The thing is with these appointments, is you don't know behind the scenes who is going to be... Who's he speaking to? Who does he get on with on the tour? I'm not that privy to what goes on, but I'm sure there'll be people on the tour that he'll admire. I'm sure there'll be people that he'll be looking at, so-and-so's working with this player and he really likes how they get on, and even more, it has to be from there's two aspects in picking a coach. Firstly, it's personal, because you've got to get on with that person. You will spend so much time with that person, especially if you're travelling. A lot of people, especially on the lower level of the tour, challengers and futures and lower end of the ATP, you'll spend more time with your coach than you do with your spouse. So you've got to get on with them for a start, and then secondly, you've got to then make sure that they're bringing to you something that you know that you need help with, and that you have complete trust in their expertise. And although it's only 2 key criteria, they are so crucial. It's very hard to align the 2 of them. But that's obviously what makes the best coaching relationships. But to answer your question, I have absolutely no idea.
I'm going. Boris comes back in.
I was going to say
it's
that.
It's a good shout.
Purely because he was about to start coaching Holger Rune.
He's been with Rune. He's split up with Rune.
That's what I mean. Like they didn't like last long though. It was like literally, it felt like a couple of weeks between Instagram posts of them saying, "Oh, we're working together," and then they weren't. And then he's working with Patrick. So I feel like Boris is looking for a job.
And then it's a familiar face. Djokovic has been known to bring people back.
Yeah. Boris and Vida are the easy.
It's the easy call, isn't it?
Yeah,
I think if Djokovic rang Marian Vida up and said, look, can you come back and...
Yeah, he's there.
He's there. I think he'll be there.